Hi there, it's Gary from New Again. We've been making cars like New Again for over 30 years. So subject this evening, I thought I'd make this quick clip here for people that have got car paint splatter or car paint on their car when it shouldn't be there. So the key words here are it's car paint splatter all over your car, that kind of stuff. So there's lots of reasons why you might have that paint on your car and not want it there. But the main one is it's when other things have been being painted in the area where your car happens to be parked. So it might be that your neighbour's painted their fence or sprayed it and then got it all the way over your car, that fence paint. Or it could be that you're in a office block somewhere in London or somewhere in a big city, and you've been unfortunate enough to come out and find your car, maybe even amongst others, covered in paint spray. So I'll give you a little bit of advice on both. First off, my experience tells me that you're better to try to help the people that are sorting out the problem than just to fold your arms and wait to see what they're going to do. So I'll give you a scenario there. So just in case you were wondering what I'm talking about, what tends to happen is, let's say there was somebody who's put their hands up to it and said, I'm really sorry, or, you can see the paint going on the building. You go and see this guy that's working there and he says, go see the site foreman. So you go in there and say, look, my car's here and your guys are painting and unfortunately mine's got splattered, Or it could be you're working for your company and there's 10 or 15 cars got splattered and yours is one of them, and then your company representative have called them up and said, what can you do about this? This has happened, and everyone's scratching their head and yours is one of them. So here's my advice. Right, well, first off, there's lots of people that will give you advice. Some do know what they're talking about, but most don't, in my experience. Most of the time, people will advise from their perspective. So we've had lots over the years where people have said, I've been to the local body shop, or I've been to the dealership and the dealership sent me to the body shop. Most dealerships, well, certainly the most that I know of, don't have the body shops anymore. They tend to have a body shop up the road that's approved by them, or so you tend to end up there. And then of course a body shop may look at it and think, well, because obviously they spray cars, they might think the solution would be to respray the car. And over the years we've had all sorts of arguments with people where the body shop's insisting the car needs respraying and it would affect the warranty and all sorts, right? Because obviously some of these companies will want to respray the car. Most cars, if you were to take it to a main body shop and a dealer approved one, you'd be expecting to be paying anywhere between something like £8,000 and £20,000. So they want the business. And partly they might be wondering, well, why am I doing this? Well, for those people that are in and around the southeast, you may bring your car to us. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier about folding your arms and seeing what's happened, your person who's the contractor, let's say, the people that are doing the paint, will go to the marketplace and see if they can find somebody to fix it. So they say, oh, hi, can you come out and get the paint off 10 cars, please? Or we've got some people that we've upset and we want to try and rectify that. So most of the time they're looking for somebody mobile who's going to come out and solve the problem. And my experience is the problem with that is that sometimes it can be solved mobile by a guy who turns up in a little van and does it, but other times it can't. So my suggestion to you is that if you're in the southeast, is make contact with us and then say, look, this car's got spray on, even make a plan to come over and let's have a look at it, and then we'll put together a proper estimate to do it properly. Now, you might not be in the southeast, so I'm going to give you some tips here in case you're in another part of the country or even the world, because there's not that many people out there that are capable of doing what we're talking about, removing paint that's splattered on. Maybe this paint's designed to stay on. Most exterior paint is. So if your car was quite clean, and I assume that you're looking at this because you do care about your car, I'm guessing that your car is quite clean, so your car may have got smothered in the paint and it's connected directly with your paint. If your car was really, really dirty, then quite often you're lucky enough that it's landed on the dirt and sort of 80% of it washes off. And that's what a lot of people are happy with. Go back to the van guy, he could wash a dirty car down and maybe a lot of the dirt and a lot of the paint that's splattered on may come off. So he's left with a little bit of the overspray. Maybe he gets a clay bar, maybe he doesn't, whatever he does, he might be able to just do that mobile. What I'm suggesting to you is that you want your car done properly, then you need to help the people who are having to sort it out with your problem. So I'll throw something else out there just so you get what I mean. It's not always obvious because you think, well, why wouldn't I let them get on with it? Well, yeah, you could do that and wait and see how it unfolds. What I would do is, if I was sitting in your shoes now, I'd wait and see what they did for the first few cars. You could often find maybe the guy is capable, maybe the overspray isn't that bad to get off. Maybe the paint spray is just paint from a fence, something that's not going to be that difficult to remove. So, maybe you're watching this video thinking you're worried. Well, what I would do is wait to see what they do if you want to wait and see who comes and says they're going to do it. Let's use a different example just so you see what I mean. If you were sitting in your back garden and you're having a barbecue, friends over, and suddenly a load of concrete splatter comes straight over the fence and splatters you all, and you go, well, this is flipping absurd. We're sitting here having a barbecue and then the paint of this stuff's come over this. And then you lean over the fence and then you see there's a guy there and he's mixing up concrete and he doesn't realise he's splattered it as it's come out, it's gone over and it landed on you. You could take a strategy of just saying, well, we'll see what he does. We're all smothered in concrete, we're trying to have a barbecue. And then he'll lean round and come over and go, oh, I'm dreadfully sorry, I've done, and you say, oh, well, but you could make that as your strategy. Sit there, we'll say, well, okay, what are you going to do about it? We're all sitting here trying to enjoy a barbecue. Can you fix this problem? And, to be honest with you, let it unfold, and see what happens, But I'm not saying it won't happen the way you want it to happen, but my gut feel is that it won't happen the way you want it to happen because you're not doing anything about it. What I'm suggesting is it's the same scenario in your car. If you just want to see what happens, then there is a good chance that it won't quite go the way you want it to go. You may not end up with quite what you thought. The car may have to go for a respray. It may get second opinions. It may have to go, this guy who turns up in the van, maybe he can't get it off. Maybe he's, whatever it is. That's the same scenario. You're sitting there with a concrete all over your house. You say, well, what's he going to really do? Is he going to come around with a special machine that removes the concrete from a barbecue? Is he going to zap out 10 more steaks and sausages from out of nowhere? The answer is he wants to rectify the problem, but it's an accident. So he might say, well, look, I'll send you some sausages and, I'll get your hair shampoo and then I'll pay for your suit and whatever, your jacket or whatever you're wearing. But at the same time, he's not going to reverse time. So these things happen, and my advice is to try to help the person who's got the problem with the problem and to rectify your problem to hopefully back as it was before and no more than that. And what I mean by that is, I've seen other people think, well, it's not my fault, so I really need compensating. I want a respray. So those of you who are thinking that, I'm sorry, but we're not in that business. What I'm saying to you is if you want the job done properly, as to return it to you in the condition that you had it before and you kept your car really nicely, then you're not going to be one of the crowd. If there's 10 got done or 20, there might be only you or maybe one other that actually loves their cars like you. And so therefore, you may decide to take it to a professional who can do this kind of thing rather than just go along with their solution. So a couple of quick things. You could look up a some professional people. You can go online, of course, maybe where you found us. But let's say you're in Liverpool, or you're in the Midlands, or quite a way away. You could do a deal with a company and say, look, I'm prepared to drive there, but I'd like you to rectify it. So they may be thinking, well, we want somebody who's going to turn up here. Well, you might be thinking, well, I don't know who they're going to be, but are they going to have the equipment to get this paint off? Or but you may offer to contribute by saying, well, I'll get it there, let them give an estimate, and then then I can drive there. How we would do an estimate, by the way, and we'll do a small section of the car so we know what the problem is, and then we can work out the recipe. So we'll probably do an hour on it, and then we'll say, right, we know now how to get this paint off, and so now we think it's going to take this long to finish it, and then we wax it and buff it, or finish it up in a nice finish for you. And some people, and we're quite happy with this, will then say, I'd like to pay a bit more and have a better coating, a better finish or something. We do get quite a few people, because people like you actually love their cars, might actually think, well, whilst I'm going to a place to rectify the problem, I might do a deal with a company. Maybe they'll agree to put something a little bit more to appease your time and aggro to get here. Okay. But let's say you're miles away. What I would suggest is find a dealership near you and ask them who supplies them with all their valeting products. You're looking for a franchise company that supply them. There will be a trade company. There'll probably be quite a well-known company. So ring your local dealership, ask for service or sales, and just say, who looks after you, who you're buying from. I hope you don't mind. But, I'll throw a name out there. The two big ones in the UK are Autosmart and Autoglim. They're big suppliers of the dealers. And then ring those people. So don't ring the dealer, don't talk to the dealer, just ring whoever they've said supplies them, and just say, who do you supply? So ring a hi franchisee, you're in my area, you supply all the dealerships and garages and valet places in this area. Who do you supply that you think might be able to get my problem sorted out? And they will then tell you who they supply. They might say, well, we do a couple of dealers, but this particular dealer, there is a guy there, he's been doing it years, he knows what he's doing, and he's the guy to call. And that's the way I would recommend it. Might be that he's near a body shop, quite a good chance there is, and he will have done lots of these. So you'll be able to find him through a franchisee that supplies him. Does that make sense? So give them a call. Hi, I've got splatter. I don't want it to be washed off by somebody who's not quite sure. I'd like you to have a look at it. I don't think it needs respraying. I want the paint removed and I want it back clean and shiny how it was before. So I hope that helps you. And be nice to the people that are paying. Go back to them and just say, look, I've seen you're going to get a van round or whatever. I'm not quite sure about who he is, or if I can't read his reviews and who he is. It might be that he's perfectly capable. You could even, if you can get there early enough, you could even contact that painting company and say, I've found a solution for the others. This guy is just local, he's, and he can do all of them. Okay, so if you're dealing with a neighbour and the paint splatter thing, you obviously got to live next door to them, or as a neighbour for them. For the many years you may live there ideally you're friends, so you need to go over there and just have a chat and say, look, I think this has happened, can you have a look? And I want to take it to a professional. I don't want to respray, I want to be reasonable, I just want to fix the problem. And do the same thing, liaise with them, talk nicely, find an estimate that's going to be a sensible price, for fixing the job properly. And I'm sure they will be happy. If you're not getting any response from them, then obviously you need to take some photographs and video and send them it in a letter and then talk to them. That's what I recommend, is send them a letter, say, look, I've sent you the letter, or give it to them, hand it to them. So there's a letter, that's explaining what happened, there's my pictures, this is your fence, and I hope you will still be friends with me, but I'd like to rectify the problem. I'd like you to, this is a problem that you can fix and you can find somebody, but I'm quite happy to help you. I've spoken to this company and they think they can do it, but I need you to go along with this, because there's your fence, you've got your fence done, but my car didn't need doing with it. If that makes sense. And normally you find if you're amicable and friendly, then, you're going to get somebody who's going to pick up the pieces and say, if this paint is, by the way, it's wet and it's just been done and it's a water-based paint, you can get a jet washer on it straight away. You might be able to do that. Don't start rubbing and scrubbing in. You need to jet off the grit off the car the same way as you'd wash your car, and then try to jet the paint off if it's wet. A lot of paint is water-based these days, so don't assume it's going to wash off dead easy, but it might if you clean it the same way as you'd clean a car normally. Get the grit off, jet it off with a jet washer, and then give it a sponge over with soapy water. You might find that you've got to it in time. So, if it's still wet, you're not going to do any harm as long as you're not rubbing grit around. What you don't want to encourage is once it's dry is people trying to rub it off and get aggressive with it, because you can scratch it and there's other things you can do, which is why I suggested you need a professional at that point, because if it's dried, it's a lot more difficult to get off. It's designed to stay on outside. It will stay on. You need a solvent and varying other products and need some experience in how to get it off, which is why we do what we do. We do lots of them. Okay, I hope that helps with everything you need. All right.